Slavite go Gospoda, zašto je dobar, Alleluia.
Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Nick, the master prayer knot artist behind Orthodox Handmade, and welcome to our 19th episode on YouTube, where we'll be discussing St. Catherine's Monastery in the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt. Guys, a massive thank you is in order for watching the content that I'm creating, but 85% of our audience is still not yet subscribed. So, if you're new to Orthodox Handmade, be sure to subscribe, hit the notifications bell to be notified when new episodes drop, and be sure to smash that like button. This will prompt the YouTube algorithm to recommend Orthodox Handmade's unique content and assist in growing our faithful audience. We're currently sitting at 1,600 faithful YouTube subscribers, and in keeping with tradition, this episode's new subscriber shout out goes to Riley Chapman. Riley, thank you very much for subscribing to Orthodox Handmade. It is very much appreciated. Also, be sure to watch until the end to discover the secret that lies within the monastery. Something up until recently I had no clue about myself, and it is very interesting, ladies and gentlemen, very interesting indeed. So without further ado, let's get right into it. St. Catherine's Monastery is officially the sacred autonomous royal monastery of St. Catherine of the holy and God-trodden Mount Sinai. This is an Eastern Orthodox Christian monastery located at the foot of Mount Sinai in the Sinai Peninsula, Egypt. Built between 548 and 565, it is the oldest continuously inhabited Christian monastery in the world. The monastery was built by order of the Emperor Justinian I, enclosing what is claimed to be the burning bush seen by Moses. Centuries later, the body of St. Catherine of Alexandria, said to have been found in the area, was taken to the monastery. St. Catherine's relics turned it into an important pilgrimage site, and the monastery was eventually renamed after the saint. Controlled by the Autonomous Church of Sinai, which is part of the wider Greek Orthodox Church, the monastery became a UNESCO World Heritage Site back in 2002 for its unique importance in the traditions of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. The site also holds the world's oldest continually operating library with unique and extremely rare works, as well as possibly the largest collection of early Christian icons, including the earliest known depiction of Jesus as Christ Pantocrator, and I'm sure you've seen that beautiful icon, ladies and gentlemen. A mosque was created at this site by converting an existing chapel during the Fatimid Caliphate, which was 909 to 1171, which was in regular use until the era of the Mamluk Sultanate in the 13th century, and is still in use today only on special occasions. During the Ottoman Empire, the mosque was in desolate condition, and it was restored in the early 20th century. During the 7th century, the isolated Christian anchorites of the Sinai were eliminated. Only the fortified monastery remained. The monastery is still surrounded by the massive fortifications that have preserved it. Until the 20th century, access was through a door high in the outer walls. From the time of the First Crusade, the presence of crusaders in the Sinai until 1270 spurred the interest of European Christians and increased the number of pilgrims who visited the monastery. The monastery was supported by its dependencies in Egypt, Palestine, Syria, Crete, Cyprus, and Constantinople. The monastery, along with several dependencies in the area, constitute the entire Church of Sinai, which is headed by an archbishop who is also the abbot of the monastery. The exact administrative status of the church within the Eastern Orthodox Church is ambiguous. By some, including the church itself, it is considered autocephalous. By others, an autonomous church under the jurisdiction of the Greek Orthodox Church of Jerusalem. The Archbishop is traditionally consecrated by the Greek Orthodox Patriarch of Jerusalem. In recent centuries, he has usually resided in Cairo. During the period of the Crusades, which was marked by bitterness between the Orthodox and Catholic churches, the monastery was patronized by both the Byzantine emperors and the rulers of the Kingdom of Jerusalem and their respective courts. Now, as I mentioned, the library, founded sometime between the years 548 and 565, is the oldest continuously operating library in the world. The monastery library preserves the second largest collection of early codices and manuscripts in the world, outnumbered only by the Vatican Library. It contains Greek, Christian Palestinian Aramaic, Syriac, Georgian, Arabic, Ethiopian, Latin, Armenian, Church Slavonic, and Caucasian Albanian manuscripts and books, including very, very rare Hebrew and Coptic books. In May 1844 and February 1859, Konstantin von Tischendorf visited the monastery for research and discovered the Codex Sinaiticus, dating back to the 4th century. At the time, the oldest, almost completely preserved manuscript of the Bible. The finding from 1859 left the monastery for Russia in circumstances that had been long disputed. The monastery received 9,000 rubles as a gift from Tsar Alexander II of Russia, and the codex was sold by Stalin in 1933 to the British Museum and is now in the British Library, London, where it is on public display. Prior to September 1, 2009, a previously unseen fragment of the Codex Sinaiticus was discovered in the monastery's library, as well as among the new finds of 1975. On other visits, in the years 1855 and 1857, Konstantin von Tischendorf also amassed their more valuable manuscripts, which were in Greek, Christian Palestinian Aramaic, Georgian, and Syriac, and took them with him to St. Petersburg, where they are stored even till this day. The monastery, having been untouched by Byzantine iconoclasm and never sacked. The oldest icon on an Old Testament theme is also preserved there. A project to catalogue the collections has been ongoing since the 1960s, guys. The monastery was an important centre for the development of the hybrid style of Crusader art and retains over 120 icons created in the style. By far the largest collection in existence. Many were evidently created by Latins, probably monks based in or around the monastery back in the 13th century. Now finally, guys, the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's talk about the secret that lies within this particular Orthodox monastery. The Ashtinameh of Muhammad, also known as the Covenant or Testament of Muhammad, is a document which is written by a person called Ali and ratified by Muhammad, granting protection and other privileges to the followers of Jesus, given to the Christian monks of St. Catherine's Monastery. It is sealed with an imprint representing Muhammad's hand. I have linked a detailed documentary on the monastery in the description below, where the covenant can be seen and discussed, so be sure to check it out after this video. Now stay with me here, guys, as I will be providing the English translation of the testament very, very shortly. According to the monks' tradition, Muhammad frequented the monastery and had great relationships and discussions with the Sinai fathers. Several certified historical copies are displayed in the library of St. Catherine, some of which are witnessed by the judges of Islam to affirm historical authenticity. The monks claim that during the Ottoman conquest of Egypt in the Ottoman Mamluk War, 1516-17, the original document was seized from the monastery by Ottoman soldiers and taken to Sultan Selim I's palace in Istanbul for safekeeping. A copy was then made to compensate for its loss at the monastery. It also seems that the charter was renewed under the new rulers, as other documents in the archive suggest. Traditions about the tolerance shown towards the monastery were reported in governmental documents issued in Cairo and during the period of Ottoman rule, 1517 to 1798. The Pasha of Egypt annually reaffirmed its protections, guys. Now let's get to the English translation of the covenant. Quote, "This is a letter which was issued by Muhammad ibn Abdullah, the messenger, the prophet, the faithful, who is sent to all the people as a trust on the part of God to all his creatures, that they may have no plea against God hereafter. Verily God is omnipotent, the wise. This letter is directed to the embracers of Islam as a covenant given to the followers of Jesus the Nazarene in the east and west, the far and near, the Arabs and foreigners, the known and the unknown. The letter contains the oath given unto them, and he who disobeys that which is therein will be considered a disbeliever and a transgressor to that whereunto he is commanded. He will be regarded as one who has corrupted the oath of God, disbelieved his testament, rejected his authority, despised his religion, and made himself deserving of his curse, whether he is a sultan or any other believer of Islam. Whenever Christian monks, devotees, and pilgrims gather together, whether in a mountain or valley, or den, or frequented place, or plain, or church, or in houses of worship, verily we are at the back of them, and shall protect them, and their properties, and their morals, by myself, by my friends, and by my assistants, for they are of my subjects, and under my protection. I shall exempt them from that which may disturb them, of the burdens which are paid by others as an oath of allegiance. They must not give anything of their income, but that which pleases them. They must not be offended, or disturbed, or coerced, or compelled. Their judges should not be changed or prevented from accomplishing their offices, nor the monks disturbed in exercising their religious order, or the people of seclusion be stopped from dwelling in their cells. No one is allowed to plunder these Christians, or destroy or spoil any of their churches or houses of worship, or take any of the things contained within these houses and bring them into the houses of Islam. And he who takes away therefrom will be one who has corrupted the oath of God, and in truth disobeyed his messenger. Jizya should not be put upon their judges, monks, and those whose occupation is the worship of God, nor is any other thing to be taken from them, whether it be a fine, a tax, or any unjust right. Verily I shall keep their compact, wherever they may be, in the sea or in the land, in the east or the west, in the north or south, for they are under my protection and the testament of my safety against all things which they abhor. No taxes or tithes should be received from those who devote themselves to the worship of God in the mountains, or from those who cultivate the holy lands. No one has the right to interfere with their affairs or bring any action against them. Verily, this is for aught else, and not for them. Rather, in seasons of crops, they should be given a qadar for each ardab of wheat, which is about 5 bushels and a half, as provision for them, and no one has the right to say to them, this is too much, or ask them to pay any tax. As to those who possess properties, the wealthy and merchants, the poll tax to be taken from them must not exceed 12 drachmas a head per year, which is about 200 modern day US dollars, guys. Continuing with the quote here. They shall not be imposed upon by anyone to undertake a journey or to be forced to go to wars or to carry arms, for the Muslims have to fight for them. Do not dispute or argue with them, but deal accordingly to the verse recorded in the Quran, to wit, do not dispute or argue with the people of the book, but in that which is best. Thus they will live favoured and protected from everything which may offend them by the callers to religion, in brackets Islam, wherever they may be and in any place they may dwell. Should any Christian woman be married to a Muslim, such marriage must not take place except after her consent, and she must not be prevented from going to her church for prayer. These churches must be honoured, and they must not be withheld from building churches or repairing convents. They must not be forced to carry arms or stones, but the Muslims must protect them and defend them against others. It is positively incumbent upon everyone of the follower of Islam not to contradict or disobey this oath until the day of resurrection and the end of the world, unquote. Well, there you have it, guys. I sincerely hope that you enjoyed this episode and learnt more about St. Catherine's Monastery and the Testament of Muhammad that resides there. Let me know in the comments section below if you knew that this testament existed, or if you only learnt something new today. I would also be very interested to know if any of our subscribers have personally visited the beautiful monastery and their own experiences there. Your input and contribution to the channel is always interesting, and I endeavour to read and respond to as many comments as possible. Once again, if you like the content that I'm creating, be sure to subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget, we're now doing new subscriber shoutouts, so if you're a new subscriber, let me know in the comments section by writing subscribed. Remember to follow Orthodox Handmade on social media, where you can see all the custom tools for prayer and all new crystal icons that I hand make for the faithful all around the world. Should you be interested in having your very own prayer rope or crystal icons created, there are details in the description below, or you're welcome to personally liaise with myself via direct message on both Instagram and Facebook. Our next episode will be focusing on the biggest challenges facing Orthodox Christians in the United States of America, and will feature personal perspectives from Orthodox Christians residing there. Be sure to stay tuned and binge watch another episode that will appear on your screen now, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and until next time, stay safe and God bless.
Slavete